If you'd like to advertise with the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast, please send an email to joshlopezwwe94@gmail.com. Once again, that email is joshlopezwwe94@gmail.com. Please use the subject line advertising if you'd like to be a business partner for the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our Elimination Chamber recap show. It's episode 42 of the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast, and it starts right now.
I've had such a great time working with you, being your partner. It's made this last year in the WWE one of my favorite years of my entire career. And a lot of that's because of you. Okay? It really is. I mean, I've had a lot of friends in this business and a lot of partners, but I haven't had the chemistry with any of them like I have with you. It's been a joy. You've made my job here and my time here in the WWE a better place, and I wanted to thank you for that. Okay? And forget about the magicians and the artwork and the Gilbert. Here's the biggest present that I'm going to give you. I'm going to guarantee you that at Fastlane, you're going to beat Goldberg because I'm going to make sure of it. Okay? I've got your back every time, just like I did with Sami Zayn and Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins and all of them. You always come out on top because I always have your back. All right? Okay? And at Fastlane, you will beat Goldberg because I've got your back. Okay? And you know why? It's because you're my best friend. Even more so, you're my brother. You're my brother, okay? And I love you, man. Honestly, I really do. And I'm going to have your back always. That's never going to change, okay?
Look, I'm sorry, okay, Chris? I am, because this isn't what I expected, but you obviously went through a lot of trouble. You did all this for me, and look, it's great, okay? It's great. I love you too, buddy. I love you. After seeing all of this, I didn't realize you'd go all out like this, because I got you something too, but it's nothing compared to this. But can I have it, please? I'll give it to you anyway. I mean, like I said, it's really not much, especially not compared to this, but it comes from the heart, man.
Thanks.
Go ahead, open it.
Okay. Dude, I didn't know you were going to get me anything.
I know it's not much, but
it's perfect. A new list. I mean, it's great. I mean, the other list is getting beat up and it's getting full. How come my name's on this?
Kevin, no!
What is going on? I don't understand this at all. Kevin Owens has lost it.
There were very few certainties in the world. Death, taxes, and Jericho and Owens being best friends, and one of them doesn't exist anymore.
No, not this. Come on.
No way, no.
No matter what Jericho's done, he hasn't just that. A power bomb into the apron. Why?
Lost it.
Ronnie's not through yet. But Chris Jericho's no idea where he's at. He almost broken in half by that power bomb into the apron. And just a look of disgust on the face of Owens.
going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast here on this Valentine's Day. It's February 14, 2017. I'm Josh Lopez, a student of game professional wrestling. You can follow me on Twitter at NotoriousJoshy. Hope you guys are enjoying your week. And everybody's on their love kick today because it's Valentine's Day. I got my chocolates, I got my teddy bears, I got my flowers, milk chocolates. I'm going to go to a nice fancy Dan Italian restaurant, and then the next week I'm going to leave my boyfriend. We know the routine by now, right? all the fabricated gifts and I love you, and then it goes to shit the next week or the next month. But I don't want to. I don't want to come off as super negative. That's not what this show's about. We got a lot to get into today. We got to talk about the Chamber this past Sunday. We got to talk about a crazy Monday Night Raw last night from Vegas. I got to talk about where the Blue Brand's going to go for WrestleMania, and also got to talk about something a little personal here. As you guys have been noticing with the monologues recently on the podcast, I've been opening up a little bit as to why I've been doing what I've been doing for the past 4 years in this broadcasting game and writing and all this etc. stuff that I do. 10 hours per week every week of audio and wrestling articles and etc. and podcasts. For those wondering, I'm not burned out. I'm not going to quit anytime soon, so I don't want to give out any mixed signals. I'm having the time of my life right now, and it's important to let you guys know why I'm doing this and where do I plan to go in the next couple of years, because I'll say this, man, it's been a very, very interesting journey, and the reason I'm bringing this is because those know that I started the pro wrestling experience about a month before WrestleMania 29. So it's bringing back a lot of memories for me from a personal standpoint, because 4 years ago I never thought I would be a broadcaster. I did it. This is all came by chance and a suggestion from a friend of mine, and it's taken me to places that I never thought I would get to be honest with you. I don't need to repeat everything that I've done. You guys know I've had the opportunity to cover WrestleMania before, but that's in the past, and I'm moving on. But I think it's important to let you guys know why I'm doing this and what keeps me motivated and why I keep continuing on with this podcasting game. Even if there's times I feel like I'm not getting the enough appreciation I feel I deserve, or sometimes where I feel like I'm not doing enough at the same time. So there's a lot of instilled drive in me, and at the end of the day, I want to make the most out of the time I have here. We all have an expiration date. At the end of the day, you got to make the most of what you have in front of you. You're responsible for what happens in your life. Nobody else dictates what happens in your life but you. People that make excuses as to why they get arrested or why their families get torn apart, or the people they associate themselves with or friends, or they say they love you but they turn your back on you and toss you to the side like a piece of garbage for absolutely no reason, that's on you and nobody else. I know a lot of people love to make excuses as to why I'm not in this position, why am I not in that position. We are the reason why we are in life at the end of the day. And we're also our own worst enemy. Nobody in this world can be a bigger critic on me than I am on myself. And I realize that's a flaw of mine, that I am too hard on myself, and there's a lot of times where I'm not satisfied with where I am. But at the end of the day, I did regain a lot of self-confidence for actually going in this direction 4 years ago, and I'm grateful. Nobody is gonna tell me where I'm gonna be in regards in this field. My decisions and my actions going forward will lead me to where I'm gonna go in this career. At the end of the day, nobody else is responsible for it but myself. And I can accept that fact, and I embrace that fact. It's a daily challenge, and my goal is, whether it's this podcast or the pipe bomb or my articles, I just want to be better than I was before. At the end of the day, I want to challenge myself, and I want to outdo myself. And I don't rest on my laurels. I don't count my chickens before they hatch. And you know, I may not be everybody's cup of tea in this style of broadcasting, but I feel like I'm doing something different, and I think you guys appreciate that. I never strayed away from my points of view in the world of professional wrestling. I stick to my convictions, and that's that, man. I mean, there's 20 or 30 different wrestling podcasts where you can talk about wins and loss records on a form of entertainment that's not real at the end of the day. But that's not what I do here. So 4 years ago, I was just getting out of Columbia College. I did the winter semester. I was going there for music. I was going there to get my bachelor's degree in music. And I was 18 at the time. For those to bring in some context here, I was 18. And my birthday's in May. So, just so anybody's confused, I'm going to be turning 23 this year, but that's in May. So I was 18, I was just getting out of high school. Some things didn't go my way in high school. I got accepted to the top music school in the country in Berkeley, but due to financial reasons and personal reasons at home, I wasn't able to attend the school. And this also went back to the reason why I had to leave Columbia too at the same time. I've done a lot with music. I've got the opportunity to play in local jazz festivals. I've got to play in national high school jazz festivals in Boston and New York. And I've done a lot, man, in the world of music. I really thought music was going to be my direction going forward. I was very, very fortunate to be blessed with the ability to play the guitar to a high level and play music and having the ability to have retention when it comes to studying the art of music and where to be. And I never played any like breathing instruments. I've always been a guitar player or a percussion player, whether playing xylophone or drums. That's always been my calling card, and I had a lot of fun playing music, and I still miss playing music to a certain extent. And there was a lot of personal things that were going on in my life during that time coming out of high school where my passion for music kind of went to the wayside because there's a lot of things in life that I lost passion about. But wrestling's always been there for me. And there was a part of me 4 years ago where I didn't care about anything anymore. I really didn't. For those that know the real situation, I'm not going to bring it up here because that's nobody's business. But I think I've grown from that and shown a lot of heart and strength in spite of circumstances that I still don't understand and some things that I don't agree with. And, you know, life is not fair, man. I'm not expecting life to be rainbows and butterflies, but I didn't see it, my whole world crashing down before I was even 20 or 21, you know. But that happens to a lot of people, man. I know. I'm sure there's people like you guys out there that have dealt with families, divorce, and splits and like that, even before you're like even 10. So I'm all part of the club like you guys, and what disappoints me about having to put music to the side is the fact that before all this broadcasting stuff started, my goal was really to really make it far in the music business and make my nanny proud. For those that don't know, my great-grandmother was also another big like role model for me, not only besides my parents, but I've been fortunate enough to have the majority of my mom's side of the family on the same block that I currently reside in right now. And my great-grandmother, who was kind of like the heart and soul of the family, lived next door to me. And she passed away 12 years ago. And this was in 2005. And she was the choir director at the church that's right a couple blocks away from my house. And she was the big matriarch of the family. I mean, music's been a big part of my family, from my grandfather, who taught me how to play the guitar. My grandpa has his own guitar shop, also around the same neighborhood. My uncle played drums. My Aunt Berta currently plays as the lead choir director at my church. And music's always been there for me. Music's always been there when I needed to take a breather or walk out of the house and take a walk to let some steam come off. And I've always been passionate about music, and my goal was to make it. My goal was to become not a rock star, but I wanted to be a musician. I wanted to travel the world and play music in a bunch of arenas, whether it was like a side piece of a big band or being a studio musician to help record albums. That was always my goal, and I felt that my skill level would be realistic for me to reach that level. There's something you guys gotta know about me. From being born with having tubes shoved down your ears for the first 2 years of your life and could barely hear anything and had to catch up to a lot of things mentally, there's a lot of things that are going not my way when I was born into this world. And there's a lot of things that are going against me. And a lot of people are like, I don't know if he's going to be able to do this because I don't know if he has the mental or emotional ability to handle this type of situation. From people bullying me, from people doubting me that I always tell this story. My first day of high school, regular music class, my freshman year, my music teacher, his name was Mr. Vega, and he went to Berkeley in Boston, and he was alumni there. He graduated. And he told us, realistically, nobody for our first class will be accepted to Berkeley. When somebody tells me I can't do something, nobody knows how much of a fire that bleeds through my veins, my lungs, and just me in general. I've never allowed anybody to tell me I can't do something. The day that happens, I really need to look in the mirror and start changing things because I will never allow anybody to tell me that I can't do anything. Some things don't go your way automatically as you would like them to, but I think people that work hard and people that take no for an answer do eventually get what they want in life because they're passionate about it and they go about it the right way, and they don't let any stupid assholes or people who are looking for your best interests, who really just want you to go down to their level and just be miserable and be content with having just money. Money is money, but at the end of the day, happiness and fulfilling my dreams is what's important to me at the end of the day. And making my Nani proud, who's in heaven right now. She's with the good man upstairs. And my family, there's been a lot of talented people in my family who are musicians who never had the opportunity to make it into the music business or even reach the potential where they wanted to go. And I want to be that person to represent my family and show the entire world that somebody from my family could make a difference in this world. Like I said earlier, I'm not a person who rests on his laurels. There's a lot of me that's very competitive. There's a part of me that wants to prove people wrong. I'll admit to this. Over the past 5 to 7 years, I've really become isolated to a lot of people. I barely talk to most of the people that I went to elementary school that I consider friends. Same thing goes to high school. I've been very, very focused on my career and also making it to Berkeley when I was in high school. When I was in high school, I was so focused on doing what I had to do to graduate from high school and prove everybody wrong to get into that school. I was one of the most hated persons in my class for absolutely no reason. I didn't start no drama. I didn't talk crap about anybody. I wasn't picking fights with anybody. I was just very reclusive. And during that time period, there was stuff going on at home that was bothering me. So there was a lot of me that was like, F the world. It's me against the world. I'm going to do what I'm going to do for selfish reasons. I had no reason to impress anybody besides her and the man upstairs. I felt a lot of times that my family was only looking out for their best interest instead of mine. I mean, it's easy to say, "Oh, go do this," and be content with it, just so you have this or just have that. I don't work that way. It'll never be that way for me. I can't rest my laurels and take this little position here just for the sake of having money. You know, money will come when I earn it, not because, it's just there and take it. I bust my ass for what I do. I earned the opportunity to go to Berkeley. And again, look, I'm not going to hold it against my family that I wasn't able to go to Berkeley. You know, it is what it is. So there was a lot of things I had to reevaluate in what I was going to do. And Columbia College was here in Chicago. It's another big music school. Decided to go there. Did the first semester. The sad part about it was that I wasn't going to be allowed to be able to do what I wanted to do there in the first place, was music, until my junior year, and they wanted me to pay $60,000 for 2 years of programming. So for me, yearly tuition at Columbia was $30,000. They wanted me to pay $60,000 before I took any major music classes. But hey, you could take a little enrichment class here and there in the meantime. In the enrichment class I took, I was already one of the assistant teachers in the music class. It was a guitar class, and there was a lot of people who were just learning how to play guitar. And during that time period, I was helping people out while I was still a student at the time. And it was bullshit. It was bullshit. I'm going there. I want to graduate in music. I'm going there to get a music degree. And the fact that the government makes these colleges force these kids to pay so much money and put you in debt and use loans and for what? Why do you need to spend over $20,000 for a college? I'll never understand that. And I had to leave Columbia. My parents were divorced. I had to move on. There was, again, going back to the money thing. Hey, we had no money to pay for Columbia, so I'll move on. So I'm 18 still. Like I mentioned earlier, my birthday's in May. I'm 18 years old. I just left Columbia College after one semester. And I'm like, what am I going to do? Am I going to be like everybody else here in the family where they're like, that's it. I'm not going to go after what I want to do. I'm just going to go rest in. I'll work at Aldi's. I'll do something at CVS. I'll just rest in my laurels. My friend of mine came up to me that actually also went to Columbia, and unfortunately he had to drop out too because he didn't have enough money, and his name's Alex Velasquez. Alex Velasquez he's still one of my best friends. Alex is a great guy. Alex was the original co-host of the Pro Wrestling Experience, and he told me that there's a broadcasting school right around the corner, and he said that he thought I would be good at it. For those that I told this story before, but a lot of people in my family ripped me for being like a Rain Man because I'm very good with coming up with like stats and sports and having a good memory about history when it comes to sports and wrestling. And I never really considered being a broadcaster, you know. Despite the fact Jim Ross being the reason why I got into professional wrestling in the first place, it wasn't always like, oh, hey, when I grow up, I want to be the commentator for Monday Night Raw. When I grow up, I want to be a professional wrestler. When I grow up, I want to be a creative writer. It was never that way for me. It was always music first. And at that time, I had a lot of people who were like, why are you never outgoing? You say you have all these ambitions and you want to do this and you do that, but you never show your personality. You're not outgoing. You're not personable. You're not you're not obnoxious out in public. Do you have a soul in you? Do you have any sense of humor? And that was another fire that burned under my ass too, because for me, for those that know me and know me in person and hanged out with me before, if I have something to say, I'll say it. I'm not somebody that has to go to you to start a conversation all the time. I'm not afraid to have a conversation with somebody, but I don't feel like I always have to be like, oh, hey, look at me. I just never been that guy, and I don't think it has to be a crime to not always have to be the most obnoxious person in the room. You can also have an it factor, but not always have to be like, hey, look at me. I just don't understand that mindset. I don't. I could be the center of attention when it comes to me showcasing my talents, but I don't have to be the center of attention just for the sake of being the center of the attention. You guys get that? You know? And you know what? I was like, you know what? Let me give it a shot. What's the worst that's gonna happen? It's a 2-year program. I do what I gotta do. I say I could get a degree, and I actually went to school for something, and I have that on my resume, right? And if something comes in the future, maybe I'll go to community college and go after music again. So I go to the Illinois Media School, and the first day I went there, it was the moment I knew, you know what, I think I could do this. And it wasn't easy. I gotta thank 4 people who really shaped me to where I am right now in regards to my broadcast career. And that's Jonathan Hood, Stephen Muhlhausen, Peter Ferrari, and Adam Adala. Those 4 guys are responsible to where I am right now. Steve gave me my break in wrestling writing because he used to work for Between the Ropes, and he's the one that gave me the shot. I told you guys a couple weeks ago the story when my first article I did for Between the Ropes was the day CM Punk left the company. I covered that Monday Night Raw at the Royal Rumble in 2014. Jonathan Hood was one of my main teachers during my time at the Illinois Center for Broadcasting, now the Illinois Media School. So I got to thank him for not only being a good friend, but being a good mentor. And he saw something in me, and he had to set me straight a couple times too. You know, I'm not a perfect human being. I am outgoing. I do feel like I am a good person, and I do make people laugh, and I'm there for people. I like giving people advice. But there's times when anybody needs to be checked. You know, you could be LeBron James, you could be Charles Oakley, you could be anybody in the world, you could be Tom Brady, you could be the preppiest white boy and never have any flaws. But there's times where you need to be checked on. You know, you have to be set straight. Nobody's perfect, and he set me straight a couple times, and he really gave me some sound advice. And he said he sees something in me, and he really gave me a blueprint to where I want to attack when it comes to the way I do these shows and how I conduct myself and why I'm doing what I do and who I network with and who I associate myself with. I got to thank Hoodie for giving me the blueprint for where I am with my career right now. I really don't know if I'm doing this show right now if it wasn't for Hoodie. At least the way I structure it, the way I go about things, and I couldn't be more grateful for Hoodie. And then also I got to thank Peter and Adam because they're the program directors at CSR, and they gave me the opportunity to actually have the wrestling show on the sports station. You know, wrestling wasn't that big a couple years ago, and they let me take a chance about it, and I went about it. I think I was one of the first persons ever in a station to go cover WrestleMania. And being part of that station for 3 years, I had the time of my life, man. It was freaking awesome. My first show I did for CSR was as an intern the week after WrestleMania 29, and my last show was the show before WrestleMania 32. So I gotta say, man, it was a fun run, and I took their advice, and they really helped me out when it comes to being disciplined on the air and learning how to reset. Like, for example, you're listening to the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast here, right at the 30-minute mark of the podcast. I still have that internal clock still inside of me, and I'm grateful for those guys. They give me a platform to get my name out there. It helped me out. Steve Muhausen helped me get my work with Between the Rows, and that's viewed off to what I'm doing right now with WrestleZone.com. So I'm doing the broadcasting thing. I graduated first in my class with the most studio hours. I got 2 different diplomas when we were doing the graduation ceremony. And you know what, man? I do not regret going this route. I don't. It's helped me regain some self-confidence that I lost after I was done with high school. And you know what, man? I wouldn't change this for the world. I love what I'm doing. It's given me the opportunity to network with so many different people. For the people I got to interview in the wrestling business, and people I got to interact with, and like Brother Carter and Matt and Ronnie. I got to give a shout out to the good brother, the Snowman, because without him, I wouldn't be here as well. And just you guys in general, man. You guys motivate me. You know, I can deal with haters. I can give a shout out to Manzo. He's the man too. He's also helped me give me a lot of good solid advice as well. You know, without you guys, man, I don't know where I'd be at. You know, I can deal with Nimrods on social media, but Nimrods on social media just give me more fuel to do this at the end of the day. I don't have to do what I do to impress them, but I'll do it in spite of them. I'll say that. My goal going forward is to continue to perfect my game. I'm not in a rush. I'm not turning 30 next year, but my goal is to start working as a producer at one of the local stations here in the city. My goal is to continue on with my articles, but also my goal is also to make sure that this podcast and the Pipeline continues to expand to even more and more people as the weeks go on. So that's my goal personally. And with that being said, I just want to thank you guys for the support, and I hope I don't let you guys down. That's my goal at the end of the day. I want to make you guys happy. I want to make a difference in this wrestling podcast game, and I want to continue going on. Nothing's going to stop me, and that's that. So there you go. That's the reason why I decided to become a broadcaster and how it's helped me grow as a human being over the past 4 years. So there goes that. We're going to start off talking about the Elimination Chamber right now. I'll play you a little snippet from that match, and we'll start giving you my thoughts about the Chamber pay-per-view this past Sunday.
Ambrose doing his best to try to shatter Styles' spine.
Well, that might have worked. If anybody in this match that feels at home in this crazy structure, it's right there. It's Dean Ambrose.
Just wiped out John Cena. And, oh, man.
Look at this
guy. Lunatic Fringe atop the pod. Oh, my God. Ambrose launching himself from the top of the pod and wiping out the 16-time WWE champion John Cena.
Little snippet right there for the Chamber match. I gotta say, I actually enjoyed the pay-per-view this past Sunday. There's a misconception there that SmackDown didn't have enough time building towards the show this past Sunday. I respectfully disagree. And maybe there's a little bias into that because I really felt the build towards this particular show started at the SmackDown in Chicago that took place before the beginning of this year. There's a lot of reasons why I bring that up. John Cena coming back was a big factor. I know that also intertwined with the Royal Rumble. At the same time, You had the American Alpha become the tag team champions. That also feuded into the tag team turmoil scenario. The Wyatts growing tension with each other. Them losing the titles that show in Chicago. Also played into the factor of Randy Orton and Luke Harper having their match at the Chamber. And also Bray Wyatt becoming the new WWE champion, which I'll talk about in a couple minutes. And also you had La Luchadora. La Luchadora was revealed to be Mickie James, and she was out there during that championship match between Alexa and Becky. And I think that all started to intertwine going into the Chamber. And also looks back to where SmackDown was when they were heading into TLC. Remember, all the main guys for Survivor Series, all the main guys from SmackDown were on the Survivor Series tag team elimination match against Raw. So everybody's like, why is SmackDown not getting a lot of love in Survivor Series? Why is SmackDown not getting a lot of love in the Royal Rumble? You know, you had a lot of guys from SmackDown in the Rumble match. You only had John Cena and AJ Styles as a standalone SmackDown match besides the women's tag match in the kickoff show. So I really feel like that show in Chicago really started the blueprint of where we were going with this pay-per-view. The only things I didn't see coming was Naomi becoming the new SmackDown Women's Champion, and also Dolph Ziggler going back to the dark side. So there was a lot that was going on in that time period after Christmas, going into the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. So it looks like everything for the SmackDown brand is just about set. There's a couple of loopholes that we'll figure out as the weeks go by. But just overall, I enjoyed the pay-per-view. I didn't think it was SmackDown's best show, but I didn't think it was bad. I thought it was a really solid show. Big props to the company to have the confidence to have women have 3 different matches on the show on Sunday. I know that's maybe hard for some people that are just into just the regular men's matches, or maybe people are just still stuck in the attitude era that the only women's matches that entertain them are bra and panty matches like Disco Inferno. But I thought it's cool for the company to actually have the confidence and let them go out there and do what they got to do. I thought Nikki and Natty was fine. I enjoyed the Becky Lynch Mickie James match. I thought it was a good opener. As always, when it comes to pay-per-views, I really don't care if I have all my predictions right. That's a good thing. We always talk about, we don't want booking to be predictable. Well, hey, when you say you have everything figured out on what's going to happen on a pay-per-view and they go in a different direction, you can't go back and then bitch about them for making it the wrong decision. Just because you have a prediction of where something goes, that doesn't mean that's the right decision for the company to go. Just because I wanted to see Miz win the Royal Rumble, and he did it, that doesn't mean they made the wrong decision to have Randy Orton win the Rumble. At the end of the day, all this stuff is subjective. I just thought it would be a cool idea to have Miz win the Rumble. He did it. It wasn't the end of the world for me. Just because I had a prediction of Becky Lynch, and she didn't ruin the pay-per-view for me. I still feel like a lot of people misconstrue WWE as some type of sports brand, but it's not. It's called sports entertainment, but until WWE puts an emphasis on wins and loss records, I'm not going to talk about it on here. I see no point. I can listen to other people on other podcasts and dish out their ideas, and some I'll agree and some I'll disagree with, but at the end of the day, I really don't sweat this stuff. I really don't care. At the end of the day, it's whether or not I'm entertained by what the match was there and the story that came behind it. Sometimes things happen that don't make sense, and if there's something I don't like, I move on. I mean, it's really easy to become indifferent to things when it comes to wrestling, or at least from my point of view, because I never looked at it as a sport. When people are like, "Oh my God, how can they book it this way? Oh, enough with the Randy Orton, time to give new guys a shot. Oh, Luke Harper should have won the match." I don't engage in that type of soliloquies or those type of conversations, because you just start making yourself look like an asshole, and just totally out of touch with society. I don't think people walk out of movie theaters and like, oh, why didn't Superman get more action than Batman did in Batman vs. Superman? Oh, why did John Wick do this, or why didn't John Wick do that? Like, you're going there to suspend disbelief. That's why we watch movies. That's why we watch the televisions we watch. Hey, whatever happens on Walking Dead, it's not real. It doesn't affect you personally. Maybe you become indifferent and stop watching a show, but I really don't think entertainment should dictate how you feel personally. You should be stressed out by watching wrestling at the end of the day. I mean, I'll get people come up to me like, why you waste time watching wrestling? You know, it's not real. Well, is Game of Thrones real? Is Shameless real? I get it. It's based on a reality show, but it's still people acting. The Gallaghers are not a real family, or whatever the fuck their name is in this Shameless show. It's entertainment at the end of the day. So if you get to the point where you start getting annoyed with a television show or a product, that's when you need to know you need to stop watching it, because there's really no point to it. You just make yourself look more and more silly by whining and moaning about it. I feel like the Chamber really brought in some things from perspective for where they're going to go with WrestleMania. So Bray Wyatt did become the WWE Chamber. Really quick, my thoughts on the new Chamber setup. I really enjoy it. I think it's cool. I told this to my good brother Matt the other day. I like the fact that they had the new structure. It has more space where you can jump around and knock people out. I really like it. I love the LED screens that they added to the Chamber. The Chamber structure. I love that WWE logo on the top of the Chamber. It's badass. I gotta give props to the production crew. Sorry about that. Gotta give shots to the production crew because they killed it, man. That was awesome. I love the setup that they have for that Chamber match. And I thought the match itself was really good too. From Miz, just being scared to walk out when Baron Corbin was on his roll, and then Dean Ambrose rolls up Corbin from behind, and then it looks like Corbin and Ambrose are going to have their IC title match at WrestleMania, which I'm fine. I think it's a cool thing for both guys. I've mentioned it over the past couple weeks. I think the cruiserweights will have the ladder match at this year's WrestleMania, which I don't think that's a problem. I do think Corbin and Ambrose is better off having it being the IC title match on the show. I don't think people will have a problem with that either, too. I think this WrestleMania coming up in Orlando has the opportunity to be just as good as the one I went to at WrestleMania 31 a couple years ago. Not because I'm going. I don't have that big of an ego. I'm not selfish. But I just feel from an overall product point of view and the match quality, I really think this WrestleMania could be really something special. You already see a lot of buzz for so many different feuds that are coming out of these pay-per-views. People are excited for Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho. There's a lot of intrigue of what's going to happen with Goldberg and Lesnar. We got what's going on with Triple H and Seth Rollins. Samoa Joe's now on the roster. We got, like I mentioned, Corbin and Ambrose. We got Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton. That's already 5 matches that people are talking about. We got this new scenario on Raw I'll talk about later on in the show. We got Bayley now as a Raw Women's Champion. There's a lot that's going on right now, and it's a lot to digest, man. There's a lot of programming. There's a lot of hours that I've spent doing these play-by-play pieces, but I don't regret it, man, because I learned something to do with every show I watch, and just because I feel some type of way on an angle one week, maybe my mind will change to the next week, because at the end of the day, we should look at this as a week-to-week basis. It's not the end of the world if something goes wrong 1 week on Raw, or SmackDown. We have to take it one show at a time. I'm fine with doing fantasy booking and looking at the bigger picture. I've always done that. But at the same time, I'm also have the ability to look at this for what it is. It's a week-to-week story that continues on. Maybe you not like the way the story was told on the show, but maybe you get some of those misleading loopholes on Talking Smack. So I'm very interested to see where they're going to go with the SmackDown brand going to WrestleMania. So we got Corbin and Ambrose. I think that's pretty much official. Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton. Now, tonight we got John Cena versus Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt is defending the WWE title. Tonight's SmackDown Live is from Anaheim, California, so that should be a fun show. The main guys that don't have a match right now is Miz, Cena, and AJ Styles. So, will Undertaker show up on this show? Is people still buying in that it's going to be Undertaker and Roman just because Roman eliminated him in the Rumble match? I don't know. Anything can happen. I'm just very excited to see what happens tonight. I don't think Bray Wyatt will become champion, though. No, I don't think John Cena will take the title immediately away from Bray Wyatt. I think that'd be weird and dumb. There's just no point to it. I think Bray Wyatt will still be champion. The match may end by like disqualification or something, but I do not see John Cena becoming the champion just like that out of nowhere. So once John Cena gets his 17th title again, it'll mean something, not just the day after, not a couple days after the Elimination Chamber. So I think Bray Wyatt will either win or win by DQ. So we'll probably see who John Cena will fight at WrestleMania tonight. Hey, man, there's 7 weeks away from WrestleMania, and anything can change, anything can happen, and that's the fun part of what we do here on the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast. We talk about what's going to happen and go on in the future. And, well, hey, man, just because something doesn't go the way I think it goes doesn't mean it's the end of the world or the company's making the wrong decision or the right decision at the end of the day. It's a blank canvas, and we're just all part of the journey that is the WWE throughout the calendar year. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to play a clip from John Cena for talking smack, talk about his Elimination Chamber match, and also after that I'll play the clip and the interview that Michael Cole did with Samoa Joe, and then I'll start getting to Monday Night Raw, and then we'll head out here for the podcast this week. So here he is. Here's John Cena's thoughts and his thoughts on the Chamber match, and also we'll get to Monday Night Raw as well.
I think everybody knows by now, with the matches that I've had, if you want to check my track record, I'm firing on all cylinders. And everybody's going to say, oh, I'm going to go into Elimination Chamber, and I'll be on it. The one person I'm looking out for, AJ Styles, because I firmly believe he's firing on all cylinders. I think everybody else just isn't where we're at. And internet rejoice over that one and go nuts. But I think AJ and I are just in a groove, like that Michael Jordan zone where the rim is just a big old bucket and you can hit anything. Like it's hard to explain, but I feel like it all is just clicking in there, man. It feels great to be in there. I feel great every single night.
It's been an eventful couple of weeks since arriving here in WWE. Your run-ins with Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, and the use of what many people are calling dishonorable tactics.
Well, they'd be right. They are dishonorable. But then again, I didn't come here to curry favor and to garner people's respect. I came here to hurt people. And the only person whose opinion I really care about is Triple H, because he's the only man that gave me an opportunity to do what I do.
Why do you think Triple H chose this moment to take you from NXT, put you on Monday Night Raw?
I think my results speak for themselves.
Joe, there's no denying that. However, many believe that you're here because Triple H is scared of Seth Rollins.
Listen, I don't think Triple H needs to justify his reasoning of why I'm here to you or to anybody else. You know, he's a guy that's given a lot of opportunities to a lot of people. In fact, probably more than anybody in history. And there's been a lot of great athletes that have come out of NXT, but none of them have been on my level. For 18 years, I've laid a path of destruction across the world. And the only reason I wasn't here is because they were scared of hiring me. In the past 2 weeks, that is evidence of why I am a very dangerous man.
Well, Seth Rollins, I guess, would be the perfect example.
Seth Rollins would absolutely be a perfect example. Redesign, rebuild, reclaim, re-injure. Let's be honest, Seth Rollins was the crown jewel of Raw for how many years? And he couldn't last 2 minutes with me in the ring. Doesn't matter who they put in front of me. Doesn't matter the cause, the case, or what will happen. I will destroy them. And because of me, Seth Rollins is going to miss WrestleMania for the second year in a row. If Seth Rollins does decide to come back, just to sate your curiosity, I have no qualms about putting him right back on the shelf.
Okay, let's switch gears then and talk about you in your debut match on Raw last week against Roman Reigns.
And in my debut match on Raw, I beat Roman Reigns. For 2 weeks. 2 weeks. I beat the man and I beat the guy. And for the 18 years prior, I have beaten up everybody they put in front of me. I cannot stress it enough. I am here to change everything. I am here to wreck shop, slap people in the face, and take everything from them. And Roman Reigns, he was just another example of that. This is not a flash-in-the-pan scenario. I'm not some Sami Zayn who's just happy to be on Raw. I'm here to make a statement, and it's very, very simple. Nobody on this roster can stand toe-to-toe with me.
Hear me out. Shawn Michaels, Batista, Randy Orton, Seth Rollins, all guys that Triple H had a relationship with, a relationship that went incredibly sour. A relationship that the game just left in his wake.
Let me explain to you a major difference between myself and those men. Shawn Michaels, Batista, Seth Rollins, Randy Orton. They all needed to be propped up by Triple H. They all needed to have their hand held. They all needed the help of the game to get the job done. I am not those men. I don't need his help. I don't need to be propped up. I don't need to be his heavy. I come in here and I get the job done all on my own. For once, finally, he has somebody he can rely on. Because I know what's best for business. So, to anyone who decides to get in my way, it's quite simple. They will learn why the Creator unleashed the Destroyer.
Damn. That was very interesting right there. One of the fun parts that I had when I was doing the pro wrestling experience still was airing those Michael Cole style interviews towards the end of the show every podcast. There's always been a ritual, and I brought that onto this show as well because it's very thought provoking. It also involves character development that a lot of people say that there's not enough character development, but you need to listen and actually pay attention to character development that does happen to the show. And I'm here to bring that to you guys. So, awesome stuff there from Samoa Joe. Everybody will agree Samoa Joe's been having an awesome run so far. Only 3 weeks into what he's been doing is being part of the Red brand, and I'm not gonna say main roster, but I've been enjoying what's going on with Samoa Joe, so we'll see what happens. And then also later that night he took out Sami Zayn, so it looks like they may have a program going into Fastlane or WrestleMania, and I don't have a problem with that. Samoa Joe is awesome. I think he's gonna have a good run, and people need to not be so tepid and so knee-jerk and so insecure about what's going to happen with the guy. Just let it play out. Let the story play out. Don't feel like his career or his run with the company is going to be dictated by what happens on one show or 1 week of programming. And also, when Samoa Joe loses matches, don't act like he's buried. He is a bad guy, remember, guys, at the end of the day. I get it. People love dominant heels and all that jazz, but at the same time, heel's still a guy to lose at the end of the day. I don't care about wins and loss records. I don't. So when people are like, "Oh, he's buried because he lost. Oh, he's buried already because he did beat Roman Reigns clean," I could care less about that, guys. What I thought was really fun about Raw this past night was the fact that, I thought the first hour was like, here it goes, kind of draggy. It's like, I love New Day, but New Day really did nothing for me last night. I enjoyed the match with Gallagher. Jack Gallagher had a really good match last night on Raw, and the first segment with Stephanie and Roman in the club, I didn't get it. I really didn't. I don't know why Roman had to be out there with Stephanie. Roman has nothing to do with Stephanie. Okay, I get it. He wants his rematch with Braun Strowman, but again, I'm not going to get to the, hey, let's bash Roman Reigns on a wrestling podcast, because you can listen to that to 20 other wrestling shows. I put a tweet out there. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, it's the weekly Roman Reigns bashing session. So I put that little gif there of Russell Westbrook with "cool story, bro." It's getting old, guys. Whether I agree or disagree with your guys' points of view of him being shoved down your throat, at the end of the day, I'm tired of talking about it. I'm tired of losing sleep over it. I'm tired of having the dialogue about the guy. I love his in-ring work, and that's what matters at the end of the day to me. I could care less about perceptions and this and that. For a guy that's supposedly shoved down your throat, sure loses a lot and gets his ass whooped. So, yeah, he's really, really shoved down your throat. Congratulations. And I also like to know how a heel tag team is buried when they lose. They purposely are the reason why they lost the match, and use the cowardly ways out. And I didn't think that the handicap match did anything for either guy. I'll admit that, but at the same time, I don't know how that hurts the club. They're heels, so we're gonna break this down like these wins and losses matter. Use some logic towards it too, though. One of my favorite parts about Raw last night was the fact we're building up to this big debut to Emmalina. Emma's coming back to the roster. Everybody's excited. You know, we've been getting over 4 months of vignettes. Where is she at? Will she premiere? Will she not premiere? And then in just good old-fashioned trolling, she comes out. She's like, you guys saw the arrival of Emmalina? Now you await the premiere and the rebirth of Emma. And then she walks to the back and walks away. Oh, that was phenomenal, man. I appreciate good troll jobs, and I appreciate good trolling gimmicks like that. One of the reasons why I latched onto the New Day were their heels early in their run was the fact that Big E and Xavier and Kofi were good at trolling people. That's why I was so invested into their group during that time period. When after that that expired and they were just focusing on the Bootios and ice cream now, it's like, they're still entertaining, but it's not like New Day is no longer my favorite part of Raw or the reason why I watched the show in the first place. I enjoy them. I think their matches are fun and entertaining, but New Day has lost some luster over the past couple months. So Emmalina, she comes out, she does the troll job for everybody, and I'm just laughing my ass off. It was phenomenal. I gotta give props to the company and give props to her for Emma because they pulled it out perfectly. And everybody's like, "That's it? That's it." I love good troll jobs. It's always going to be awesome when people troll the crowd. Just when you expect one thing, it just goes the totally opposite direction, and it keeps you guessing. We do not need to know all the answers in the world of professional wrestling when it comes to storylines or booking decisions. Lesson A for today, ladies and gentlemen. I know everybody's focusing on their bouquets and chocolates and all the teddy bears they're going to get for Valentine's Day today, but for you, the wrestling fan, for you listening to the podcast this week, I give you one piece of advice. You can take it or leave it. That's perfectly fine with me. You do not need all the answers in the world of professional wrestling while watching a show. You know why Raw and SmackDown are weekly episodic television programming? You know why we got pay-per-views in between the road to WrestleMania? To space it out. You don't need to know that because that just takes the fun out of it. I remember when Randy Orton came back a couple years ago when he was about to have that program with Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. Everybody's like, "Oh, why is Orton still with the Authority? I mean, come on, let's get into the Seth Rollins thing. Oh, they're taking too long." That's the point. You're dragging it out. You know the match is going to happen at WrestleMania, but let the moment organically happen. I don't need him to come out and attack Seth Rollins and have 2 months of him just going after him. There's no need for that. It's already dragged out by the time you have the 7th beatdown on the road to WrestleMania. You're like, oh, can we get to the match ready? You need to let the stuff play out and let it happen as it happens. Hey, Samoa Joe. Everybody's like, oh, the Rumble match is ruined because Samoa Joe wasn't in the Rumble match. Samoa Joe comes out the next night. He lays out Seth Rollins, and everybody's like, yeah, it's freaking awesome. So we got to pick our hills to die on. Also on Raw, I really enjoy, like I mentioned, the stuff with Joe. I thought Sami Zayn and Rusev had a very, very good match. I expect them to have a nice program for the U.S. title sometime down the road this year. I would like to see a pay-per-view match between Sami and Rusev. I thought that was very, very good last night. Jack Gallagher and Neville for the Cruiserweight title at Fastlane. I think that's going to be very, very good. Both guys have interesting gimmicks, and tonight Neville's taking on TJ Perkins on 205 Live. I'll be covering that show for WrestleZone.com. Lastly, I couldn't finish out the show without talking about not only the Festival of Friendship, but also Bayley and Charlotte. Let's start with Bayley and Charlotte. Bayley, because the new Raw Women's Champion, Sasha comes out and attacks Dana Brooke, who was trying to cost Bayley the match. Sasha comes out with her crutch. She attacks Dana Brooke, and then she gives a crutch shot to the tatas of Charlotte. Whether them fake or not, they look pretty good from my point of view. But nonetheless, I really enjoyed the match between Bayley and Charlotte. It was very good. I think it's probably the best match they've had so far, whether it was their NXT run or here on Raw. I think Bayley and Charlotte killed it in the main event. I thought the first hour of the show was kind of dragging along, but I thought for the rest of the show, especially hour 2 and 3, I thought it was really, really good. So I'll take 2/3 over a 3-hour show. You know, you're not going to love everything that's going to happen on Monday Night Raw. There's time filler things. It's the telethon that I keep mentioning over the years. But to pick out the little things like there, like between the stuff with Jack Gallagher and Neville, or Akira Tozawa killing it, or Rusev and Sami Zayn, the Samoa Joe interview with Michael Cole, Braun Strowman laying out Roman Reigns, this awesome main event with Bayley and Charlotte, and also the stuff with Kevin and Chris Jericho. I mean, I really thought Raw really picked up steam towards the end of the show as well. So overall, I'll give it passing grade, but I can't finish the show without talking about what happened last night. The magnificent, the brilliance that was the Festival of Friendship. I seen it. This Is Your Life when I was a kid. I was 5 years old. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was 5 years old. This is my early years of watching wrestling as a fan. Yes, I was allowed to watch Monday Night Raw during the Attitude Era as a kid. I guess I am a degenerate after all these years. So when I was watching that segment, man, I was like, man, this showing you why Chris Jericho is a first ballot Hall of Famer. He comes out with an obnoxious outfit. He's dancing around. He's getting the whole Vegas feel, and everybody's laughing their ass off. I'm laughing my ass off. It's phenomenal. I thought the stuff he had the art of Jericho sculpted in, man, and also they had. The art of Jericho was the little frame picture they had of him and Jericho, the little finger poke in the skies. Oh my God, it was hilarious. And then he had Gilbert come out, and this is all leading to the match with Kevin Owens and Goldberg at Fastlane for the Universal title. And Kevin Owens is not buying it. They bring out a magician, and Owens is like, "Hey, my son has saw better magicians than this guy." And then Jericho's like, "You know what happens when you don't impress Kevin Owens? Friendship of Friendship the Magician, you just made the list." So, from Emma trolling everybody to Chris Jericho's shenanigans during this Festival of Friendship segment, and also where Jericho is also opening up about how this run with him and Kevin Owens being best friends has really rejuvenated his career, and I really felt that was a genuine moment from Jericho. I thought he was like really coming out to everybody and talking about how much he's been enjoying this run, because I think people do know that unfortunately Jericho will be taking some time off, and some well-deserved time off after WrestleMania this year. And Jericho will be going back to the Fozzy route. And good for him. I think Jericho does deserve a break. Not that I don't want to see him on TV. I love him every time he's on Monday Night Raw. I love the list. I love the gift of Jericho. Everything he does with the drinking in, man. I love Jericho. And we all know the guy needs some time off. And I will admit, this has been probably one, if not the best run of his career so far. I was fortunate enough. The very first wrestling show I went to, I was 5 years old. August 9th, 1999, Chris Jericho makes his debut at the Rosemont Horizon for Monday Night Raw. I was 5 years old. It was the first show I went to. I'll never forget it, man. The run that Jericho's had in WWE, you cannot tell me this guy's not a headliner or a first ballot Hall of Famer in the WWE Hall of Fame. Speaking of the WWE Hall of Fame, Teddy Long, shout out to him, man. I got to interview him last year. This is a little bit after he left the company. And he also broke the news to me that Godfather was going into the Hall of Fame. So it was kind of cool to see that Teddy Long was going into a Hall of Fame class this year. I'll be attending the Hall of Fame ceremony this year with the good brother Justin Hill from the Sports Drive. So shout out to him. Follow me on Twitter at @IamJustinHill. That's going to be a lot of fun. So we got Rock and Roll Express, Teddy Long, and Kurt Angle so far for the Hall of Fame, which I think it's been a really good, solid class so far. Now back to Jericho and Owens. I knew Owens was like shotting down everything Jericho was tossing at him. But when I saw Owens go grab his gift, I was like, oh, here we go. Here's the point where he's going to start attacking him, and here's where the turn's going to happen. So Jericho opens the box. It's a new list. Jericho's like, hey, man, you know, I might need a new list. The new list is all beat up and torn up. And then you see in the background of the list, it says, the list of KO. I was like, oh, boy, here we go. Oh, boy. And then Kevin Owens just beats the ever-loving shit out of Jericho last night. And it was beautiful, man. From the entertainment standpoint, for comedy purpose, the Festival of Friendship was amazing. And also the way the turn happened was phenomenal as well. So I got to give major props to Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho for the way they worked the fans in that segment. They deserve a lot of credit. And also I got to give a shout out to whoever was the agent in that match as well. The only thing that was unfortunate is that USA Network needs their freaking 5-minute commercial break slot when Jericho's like, come on, you're going to get it to Gilbert. And besides that, it is what it was. It is what it is. I enjoyed it. I loved what happened with Jericho and Owens. It was awesome. It made me one of the best Raw segments I've seen in the last 5 years. If you haven't seen that, please go check it out. If you need some laughter in your life, if you're like me and you got nothing to do on Valentine's Day, go check it out, man. It's hilarious. So on that note, I think it's a good time to wrap it up here. I'll be more in depth and talk about what's going to be happening down in the world of Fastlane on the Pipe Bomb with McCool & Company this week. This Friday on the New Age Insiders Network. You can subscribe to that podcast and check it out every Friday. We always have a new episode, so we'll have a lot of fun there. That's the Pipe Bomb with McCool & Company on the New Age Insiders Network. Just check it out every Friday and you'll get the podcast. You can subscribe to this podcast as well. It's Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast on iTunes. Unfortunately, I'm dealing with some issues with Podomax. So in the meantime, you can subscribe to it, like I said, on iTunes, or go to Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast on YouTube. Just type it in the search engine, you'll find a playlist right there, and you'll find all our previous episodes. And that's that, man. You can follow me on Twitter at Notorious Joshie. I'll follow you back. Like I said earlier, so just don't be an asshole. That's all I ask. I'll have a nice civil discourse. We can have a back and forth agreement, a back and forth discussion, but I don't need you guys to bring in cheap shots, and I just have no time for negativity anymore. You start becoming what you're surrounded by. If you spend a lot of time interacting with people that just bring in negative energy, you start becoming a negative person as well in the process. And that's not what I'm going for anyway. So ain't nobody got time for that. We'll be back here next week and talk about what's going on with the Raw brand heading into Fastlane. And I think everybody will be in agreement that we got some exciting stuff coming up in the world of professional wrestling. And that's that, man. Hope you guys enjoyed this week's edition of the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast. Leave an honest review. And love some feedback for you guys. And I'll talk to you all on Twitter. And check out my play-by-play pieces this week. I'll be covering SmackDown and 205 Live tonight from WrestleZone.com. So that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed episode 42 of Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast. We'll be back next week. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody.